Part 50. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 491. Swish. -1. Ye Chen used a sharp dagger to gently cut his wrist, but it could not break the hardened skin. However, after the damage appeared, Ye Chen entered the attack state. The lazy cells faded like a tide, and then rushed back again, because the duration of the lazy potion was 60 seconds. Ye Chen smiled bitterly. He really didn't expect the effect of the lazy potion to be so powerful. This lazy potion was made from the Lord Boss material. As we all know, the Lord Boss of Dream World only refreshes once a day, and the material is not a must-explode item. Therefore, the lazy potion is extremely rare, with a price but no market. One bottle is less when it is used. In fact, the real use of the lazy potion is for thieves to kill in stealth. After stealth killing, exit from stealth state and enter attack state. The lazy potion exits from attack state in 1 second and continues to sneak. One step and one person, killing invisibly. But this time, Ye Chen used the lazy ghost potion very cleverly. In fact, he also has a god-traveling escape talisman, which can teleport to any place he has been to after using it. But even so, he still cannot quickly exit from the attack state. And in the attack state, the team cannot be teleported. For him, Yuming and others can die, but the blood tree must be saved at all costs. On the other side, Dark City. Seeing the blood tree with residual blood escaping, Jian Wuhan, Black Bear City Lord and others froze. The duck that is about to be cooked, just flew away like this. It must be Ye Chen's method again. This guy is really not a fuel-saving lamp, Jian Wuhan snorted coldly. Young man, there are 2 more, thank you for saving my life. The Black Bear City Lord looked at Jian Wuhan and the other 2 saints, and bowed his hands with a smile on his face to thank them. This battle, they hovered on the edge of life and death once, and now they survived the disaster, and they felt extremely happy. The strong men from his own alliance did not arrive, but Jian Wuhan and other people in the neutral camp felt rescued, which made him more grateful. However, Jian Wuhan showed a trace of unfathomable smile. Go! With a cold shout, Jian Wuhan and the other 2 strong men from the Holy Domain attacked the Black Bear City Lord and others frantically. Why, you! The Black Bear City Lord roared. There were 5 of them in total. The Holy Domain Ice Mage had been killed by Ye Chen before. Including himself, the HP of the 4 people was less than half. More importantly, they had no weapons or equipment, no attack power, and no defense power. Jian Wuhan and the other 3 attacked wildly, and they could not resist immediately, and their HP dropped straight. You are crazy. The neutral camp has always lived in harmony with our dark camp. By doing this, aren't you afraid of destroying the friendship between the 2 camps? The Black Bear City Lord roared. Jian Wuhan just sneered, he didn't want to say a word to the dead. In less than 10 minutes, the 3 Saint Domain strongmen around the Black Bear City Lord died tragically, and 2 Saint grids exploded, which Jian Wuhan took away. Every 2 minutes, Jian Wuhan would release the withering of all things, weakening the enemy into a dog. Because of this, the harvesting efficiency of Jian Wuhan and his 2 Saint Domain subordinates was so terrifying. A few minutes later, the Black Bear City Lord had only a trace of HP left. What the hell is the Alliance doing? Half an hour has passed, why didn't anyone come to rescue? Feeling the rapid loss of vitality, the Black Bear City Lord couldn't help but roar in grief and anger. Stop! But at this moment, dozens of streams of light rushed over, and the leader roared. The Black Bear City Lord was stunned when he heard the sound, turned his head and looked, and immediately smiled bitterly. Black Bear! Sorry, we are late to rescue you. The leader, who also holds the rank of general, is also an orc, a white tiger with a jade face, and has a trace of blood from the mythical beast White Tiger. White Tiger's words were full of apologies, but strangely, their flying speed was deliberately slowed down. Seeing this, the Black Bear City Lord was full of despair. "White Tiger, don't pretend, I really can't believe that you are so narrow-minded. It's okay for you and I to fight privately, but now it involves a battle between camps, you are still so ignorant of the importance. Black Bear, you misunderstood, you are in danger, I have no choice. It's just, when I received the order, my team happened to be trapped in a secret realm." White Tiger said sincerely, but in his cold vertical pupils, a hint of sarcasm flashed. White Tiger's men also had a tacit smile on their faces. Black Bear City Lord was indignant and desperate in his heart. In less than 30 seconds, his blood volume returned to 0 and he fell. Jian Wuhan's eyes lit up, and he grabbed the holy grid with his bare hands. Immediately, the White Tiger general led his team to rush over, and the speed was many times faster than before. "Haha, garbage," Jian Wuhan sneered. "Things have developed to this point. How could he not understand that the jade-faced White Tiger and the Black Bear City Lord obviously have a personal grudge? All things wither and decay." The jade-faced White Tiger saw the Black Bear City Lord die in battle, so he rushed over. He obviously would not let Jian Wuhan and others go. But how could Jian Wuhan surrender? He immediately swept across, stirring up a circle of withered yellow light waves. The jade-faced White Tiger and others were hit, as if they were taken to the next reincarnation by the law of time, and quickly became old. All attributes decreased by 90%. If the player is weakened to this point, Jian Wuhan can kill him instantly with his bare hands, but if it is a sanctuary NPC, it is completely different. Even if it is weakened 9 times, there are still hundreds of millions of HP. "Withdraw." Jian Wuhan gave the decisive order, and together with the other 2 sanctuaries, turned around and flew away. The jade-faced White Tiger and others were weakened and could not catch up. 5 seconds later, Jian Wuhan and others withdrew from the fighting state and teleported away. "Lord White Tiger, congratulations on your appointment as City Lord." The jade-faced White Tiger and others saw Jian Wuhan and the others escaping, and felt a little aggrieved. Immediately, several of his subordinates spoke loudly. "Ha ha!" The jade-faced White Tiger laughed wildly, and the frustration in his heart was swept away. www.zaoshian.c. On the other side, Zhyhaxia Island number 151, Savage Island. Next to the ship-shaped base. At that time, Yuchen used team teleportation and only forced over 900 people. The remaining people in the throne room, who died or escaped, are now gathered here. "We failed in this siege. Facts have proved that we are still far away from capturing the main city." Yechen sighed. Attacking a city, especially a light and dark attack, can easily trigger the strong men from both alliances to join the battle. Not to mention, now Jian Wuhan has also risen, and in such a short time, he has recruited 2 saints. As long as he relies on the withered sword, he will definitely further increase his combat power and power. Thinking of this, Yuchen suddenly felt a lot of pressure. 0048. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 492. This world of Dream World is dominated by gods. The gods hold the most powerful power, which is called law. The laws are divided into many types, the most common of which are elemental laws, light, darkness, fire, and ice. The second is strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, and agility. In addition to these, there are some rare laws: poison, armor breaking, critical strike, steel. The reason why gods are gods is that they master the laws. Under normal circumstances, gods only master one of the laws, but it is not ruled out that some gods with extraordinary talents master 2 or even more laws at the same time. Mortals who believe in gods can obtain the corresponding power of faith. Just like Yechen, he believes in the god of fire Oz and obtains the power of faith given by the god of fire. Because Yechen is a high-level preacher, he obtains a lot of power of faith, fire strength add 1000, fire resistance add 3000 points. The degree of power of faith obtained depends on the level of the believer, low-level preacher, middle-level preacher, high-level preacher. It also depends on the gods themselves. It depends on the god's position. As high-level preachers, one believes in the lower god, one believes in the middle god, and one believes in the upper god. The power of faith obtained is completely different. So in terms of power of faith, Yechen is already unique. He is a high-level preacher and the god he believes in is also a high-level god. This is already a small peak. Of course, those gods with extraordinary talents who master 2 or even multiple laws at the same time. They also have believers. And their believers obtain 2 or even multiple powers of faith at the same time. In the Chinese theater, Yechen and Jian Wuhan are standing at the peak. Although it is not ruled out that the god of thieves will come from behind in the future, for now, they are the peak. But although they are both high-level preachers of the upper gods, the gods they believe in only master one law, one is the god of fire and the other is the god of darkness. In the overseas war zone, there may be dual beliefs, or even multiple beliefs. Faith can only believe in one god, but it is not ruled out that the god is gifted and masters multiple laws. The world is still big. Although Yechen is very scary now, he still dare not take it lightly. In his previous life, Yechen was just a rookie with limited vision, but he heard that the Chinese war zone was not a first-line force in the world battlefield. Even at that time, the thief god was already terrifying. So when it comes to the realm of Yechen and Jian Wuhan, the burden on their shoulders is getting heavier and heavier. In the later period, when the world war begins, they will fight for the country. If they lose, not only will they be embarrassed, but the whole country will be ashamed because of you. It is precisely because of bearing such a weight that some people can't bear it and die. Only those who can really bear it are worthy of being called the strongest. First, upgrade to level 79, devour the holy frame, and reach the Holy Land. Yechen made a secret decision, and then took the main force, as well as Yuming and others, to continue to open up the remaining islands of Zhihaxia. One day later, Yechen received news that the crystal of the neutral camp LV1 main city was blown up. Yechen lost his position as the city lord, and Jian Wuhan took his place. According to the spy's report, Jian Wuhan only charged a copper coin for the pass. Damn, what is this guy doing? He has money but doesn't make it? Is he trying to buy people's hearts? Tank cursed. He has received the news. Because Jian Wuhan and Yechen have different routines, many players are now scolding Yechen, while praising Jian Wuhan's kindness and master's temperament. Jian Wuhan is a far-sighted guy. He has begun to think about the realm of God. God needs believers. The more believers, the stronger the God. So this guy will buy people's hearts, Yechen explained. Oh my, then we can't lose to him, Tank said. Well, let's release the first and second stages of Zhihaxia. At the same time, announce that no force is allowed to occupy it. Whoever occupies it, we will fight him, Yechen laughed. Tank, Huowu, and others immediately started to broadcast the news. The next day, the popularity of Yechen suddenly increased a lot. Jian Wuhan only reduced the transition fee of LV1 main city in the neutral camp, while Yechen directly released 100 islands in the national battlefield. Who is more generous, it is clear at a glance. Another week passed in a blink of an eye, Yechen reached level 78, and Jian Wuhan also quickly reached level 73. Suddenly the radio sounded, it was the world broadcast. World broadcast, congratulations to the player Jing Ongji in the Japanese war zone for ascending to the Holy Land. As the first player in the whole server to reach the Holy Land, he will receive the following additional rewards: experience add 1.5 billion, 1000 gold coins, Saint Grid 10, title leading the whole server 1. World broadcast, congratulations to the player Jing Ongji in the Japanese war zone for ascending to the Holy Land and opening the World War. World broadcast, due to the need for version update, all players are requested to log off quickly. This system will be temporarily shut down for update in 5 minutes. This maintenance update will take 48 hours. The World War will be launched. For more details, please log in to the official website. We apologize for the inconvenience caused to you. National broadcast, due to the arrival of the Japanese player Jing Gyuji in the sanctuary, the World War will be launched and the system will be shut down for updates. This maintenance update will take 48 hours. The World War will be launched. For more details, please log in to the official website. We apologize for the inconvenience caused to you. The world broadcast was blasting like crazy, and then the war zones of various countries also blasted the broadcast. Huh? Jing Ongji? Why does this ID sound like a woman? No way, is it really a Japanese woman? Yeshen, Jian Wuhan, and even the masters of various countries are not good enough, and they were actually beaten by a woman. At the same time as the broadcast was blasting, the Chinese war zone was like a pot of boiling water. All kinds of national curses. After all, the male and female game players are not proportional, and the game Dream World is quite special. On the one hand, it has opened up the overseas market, and on the other hand, it is the world's first holographic online game. So it has also attracted many female players. But the ratio of men to women is at most 7-3. And normally speaking, men are often more powerful in playing games, and they are already ahead in thinking. After all, men like to fight and kill and conquer the world. So, if there are female masters, everyone will not be disgusted, but admire them. But when a female player becomes the first in the server, the male players immediately become unhappy. This is the case in the Chinese war zone, and players from other countries are also cursing now. The language and tone may be different, but they all express the same meaning. There are female players above them, and they just don't accept it. 0048. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 493. World Broadcasting, Initiator, Long AOTN / China War Zone, Little Japan, how did you do it, with a bitch on your head? World Broadcasting, Initiator, Tianlonggren / Japanese War Zone, SP, Jingguheim is our queen. If you Chinese people really feel that you are capable, you might as well come over and give it a try. World Broadcasting, Initiator, Long AOTN / China War Zone, okay, let your queen wait, I will suppress you sooner or later. World Broadcasting, Initiator, Ing / Korea War Zone, Chinese SP. World Broadcasting, Initiator, George / American Theater, Chinese SP Ad 1. National Broadcasting, Initiator, One Shot for Blood / Neutral Camp, Long AOTN, shut up, don't be so embarrassed, you don't have a role in the World War, do you understand? The words that shot to death immediately spoke to the aspirations of the vast number of Chinese players. Long AOTN, you are just a bird. You have not made a name for yourself in the country. How dare you send a message to the world? It's amazing to have two bad guys, Yeshen and Jian Wuhan didn't even say a word. Suddenly, several local tycoons made nationwide broadcasts to criticize Long AOTN, but Long AOTN suddenly did not dare to say anything. It's just a war of words, it's meaningless. Everyone, please log off. It's just a 2-day break to recharge your batteries and prepare for a world war. Yechen said something on the guild channel and took the lead to log off. It happened to be March Day, so Yuchen organized a little and took his friends to the park to fly kites. After playing games all day long and enjoying the sunshine of spring again, everyone couldn't help but relax. Yuchen also felt very comfortable, feeling that the pores all over his body were open. Sometimes he really feels tired, mentally tired. Sometimes he really wants to throw off the burden, marry Yoon Jian'er, and live a carefree life from then on. If you are not at his level, it is difficult to understand this pressure. But he also feels unwilling to give in. Now that he has reached this level, if he takes one step further, he will dominate the entire server. He didn't want to give up halfway on the goal he had originally set. After returning home happily, Yuchen adjusted his mentality and prepared for the final world war. That night, Shen Kaijin came to the door. Everyone is very welcoming to Shen Kaijin. After all, it was King Shang who drove him away in the first place and had nothing to do with Shen Kaijin. Kikai, come and live with us. Huo Wu immediately extended the invitation. Okay. Shen Kaijin agreed with a smile on his face, then looked at Yuchen and said, Yuchen, my brother wants to see you. Oh, Yuchen was startled. Hungmen banquet. What good can happen to that guy King Shang? If you don't go, don't go. Kikai, you won't harm Yuchen, right? Tank said. No, my brother wouldn't do that. Shen Kaijin argued with a wry smile. She had her brother on one side and her best friend on the other. It was really difficult for her to be caught in the middle. It's okay, I'll go with you. Yuchen nodded and agreed. A person of King Shang's level would at least not do such dirty things as kidnapping. What's more, Yuchen vaguely guessed what King Shang wanted to do with him. When, now, Yuchen asked again. Well, brother said time is tight, let's set off now. Shen Kaijin nodded. So the two left, and Shen Kimian drove Yuchen into the car. About 2 hours later, they arrived at a luxurious star hotel. The king of Shang, with his sword without a trace, fired a shot that drew blood, and the three of them stood guard outside the door. Are you the god of night? King Shang looked at Yuchen coldly. The two parties are familiar with each other in the game, but this is the first time they meet in real life. To be precise, my name is Yuchen. Yuchen smiled slightly, but the sharpness in his eyes flickered uncontrollably. Chen, you and I have the same name. King Shang introduced himself coldly. As soon as the two people met, the smell of gunpowder arose. Shen Kaijin had a wry smile on his face and stood in front of the two of them as if to stop a fight. It has to be said that, just like fate, Shen Kaijin happened to act as a link to buffer the stiff relationship between the two. You can't help yourself in this game. Let's each take a step back. In reality, Jian Wuhan looks like an elegant scholar, wearing a white shirt and gold-rimmed glasses. But his words held so much weight that even King Shang gave him face and stopped competing with Yuchen. Let's go, the operations director of Dream World China Theater is still waiting for us up there. King Shang glanced at Yuchen and said. Official figure. Yuchen was startled. In his previous life, he had never dreamed of meeting the person through that channel. Well, let's go up. Lan Yan, Taishan, and the others have already arrived. King Shang finally said and stepped into the hotel first. Yuchen followed behind, sighing inwardly that he seemed to be facing a meeting. The person attending the meeting was the official operations director of the Chinese Theater of Dream World, and those who participated were at least kings. A few minutes later, Yuchen followed him to a high-end, soundproof conference room. The person in the first seat is a middle-aged man wearing a suit and leather shoes. He is the so-called operations director. A position like the director of operations is not even considered the second in command in an average company, but can only be considered a high-level position. But he is the operations director of the Chinese Theater of Dream World, so his style is different. On both sides of the conference table, there were people familiar to Yuchen. There were only a few kings in the Chinese war zone, so Yuchen naturally knew them all. Yuchen, Shang Wang, Jian Wuhan, Yiqiang spit blood, each found a seat. Shen Kaijin was blocked outside the door. She was not qualified to enter. This meeting was obviously a secret meeting. Dear Masters, National Champion Ye Shen, Runner-up Jian Wuhan, Shang Wang, President of the Shang League. The director looked at everyone with a smile on his face, reading one by one. Obviously, he also knew everyone present. Then, he also introduced himself. Hello everyone, I am the operations director of our fantasy world China Warzone, you can call me Sanjiu. Director Sanjiu. W.Ashian.cm The kings greeted politely. Haha, don't be so polite, don't be nervous, we are all in the same boat. Director Sanjiu smiled and said, you are all top experts, you should know that Dream World is controlled by various countries. I am just an employee, of course my boss is only the leader of our motherland. After this game maintenance and update, the World War will start. Everyone gathered together, you should be able to guess my intention, or the intention of the country's senior figures. Or, the intention of all Chinese players. Sanjiu said a few words and put a hi-hat on everyone. For the country, for the people. Everyone knew it tacitly, in fact, they had vaguely guessed it before they came. We are of the same blood, give up the civil war, and join hands to resist overseas enemies. 0048. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 494. When one's strength reaches the king level, his awareness will generally be very high. Director Sanjiu doesn't need to say much. Now that the World War has broken out, everyone will naturally come together. Well, since everyone's awareness is very high, I won't say much. I hope everyone will unite as one on the world battlefield and boost the momentum of our Chinese people. Sanjiu also expressed his satisfaction, and then changed the subject and said, this is one thing, and there is another thing. Oh, Ye Chen was stunned. Shang Wang, Jian Wuhan, Lan Yan, and others are quite experienced and asked directly, is the international championship going to start? The so-called national championship is actually a world-class professional league. It is not an individual competition like the martial arts competition, but a team competition. Yes, according to inside information, the first international championship of Dream World will start on June 1st this year. Sanjiu said, we have 3 places in the Chinese zone. The qualifying round will be held on April 1st this year. All the major teams in the country will compete for these 3 places. Hearing this, everyone laughed in their hearts. The so-called 3 places are actually here. Because this place itself gathers the top masters in the country. Sanjiu smiled, well, I know that too. The 3 places are all with you. That's why I asked everyone to come. The standard configuration of the team that signed up for the international championship is 9 players, 5 main players and 4 substitutes. The rules of the international championship are as follows. There are 3 games in total, and the best of 3 system. And each game is different. The first game is a 5v5 team game. The second game is a 5v5 ring points game. Both teams send 5 members to participate in the ring in turn. After each ring game, they change players. It's a best of 5 game. The third game will only start if the first 2 games are tied at 1:1. It is also a 5v5 ring game. The winner does not leave the game. Whoever defeats 5 people first loses. After Director Sanjiu explained, everyone nodded. Everyone was a master and understood it at once. Of course, I called you here today not just to explain the rules. I have something very important to discuss with you. The International Championship is held once a year, and you should all know that. Dream World was launched in September last year, and this year is the first year of the International Championship, the most special year. With the influx of major capitals, they will definitely spend a lot of money to sign you up, and some teams will even sign foreign players to join. No matter what happens in the future, this year, I hope you will fight for the country. Once you sign up for the international championship, you cannot change your team. I hope that everyone can gather their strength this year and form the strongest team in China. Yeshen, Jianwuhan, especially you two great gods, I sincerely hope that, at least this year, I hope you can be in the same team. Sanjiu's attitude is very serious. As the operations director of the Chinese war zone of Dream World, he knows very well that with the involvement of the game Dream World, an economic storm has been triggered around the world. And this is just the beginning. Although capital has entered, it has not yet set its sights on the international championship, and it is too late in terms of time. But after this year, in the next few years, the capital will focus on the international championship, sign strong professional players and form teams. At that time, the teams that enter the international championship will all be star teams. Capital is ruthless. For the sake of profit, Chinese teams can sign foreign players. Foreign capital, foreign teams, can also sign Chinese players. Just like the NBA in the United States, at that time, everyone will only pay attention to the team and the star players. When that time comes, the value of professional star players will be infinitely raised. Go to the team that offers the highest price, it's human nature. So in the future, under the invisible manipulation of capital from various countries, the national honor of all audiences around the world will be weakened. After all, in the future, those strong teams are likely to be composed of top professional players from various countries. For example, in a team, there are Chinese players, American players, and Japanese players, so which country do you support? No need, you just need to support the team, or the professional star players. Of course, there are also some particularly patriotic capital, such as the Shangwang, whose team is composed of all Chinese. Such a team will definitely be supported by a large number of Chinese audiences. After all, most people are patriotic. Of course, support is support, but you have to have strength. If you often lose, I still love you. In the final analysis, everyone only loves the best team and the best player. Just like the star Jordan, although he is an American, there are still many Chinese fans who love him like crazy. Shangwang, the opportunity to win glory for the country is only this year, I hope you can seize it, Sanjiu said to Shangwang. Shangwang himself is capital, Sanjiu naturally knows this. He hopes that Shangwang can sign Yechen and put Yechen and Jianwuhan in the same team. Facing Sanjiu's fiery eyes, Shangwang couldn't help sighing. To be honest, he hated Yechen very much and really didn't want to sign Yechen. At the same time, he didn't know how much money he would have to spend to sign Yechen. After all, Yechen holds the title of champion of the martial arts tournament, national competition. The price is probably much higher than that of a veteran king like Jianwuhan. What's more, he knew that Yechen was very rich now and could create a team by himself. Okay, I'll leave the rest of the time for you to discuss among yourselves. You know, it's not easy for me to be the operations director. There are several foreign producers watching around me. In order to see everyone today, I still sneaked out. You all, please don't let me down. Don't let down the country. Sanjiu left quickly with his briefcase in hand amidst the laughter of everyone. After Sanjiu left, Huxian. Calm. The atmosphere in the conference room suddenly seemed a little depressing. King Shang was the first to break the silence. Yeshen, what do you think? What else can I do? Just once this year, I will cooperate with you and strive to win the first place in the world. Yechen smiled lightly. You just have to give me a price, and it shouldn't be lower than Jianwuhan. Jianwuhan's mouth twitched when he heard this. Haha, okay. I'll give you 3 times the price of Jianwuhan, King Shang also said boldly. Everyone looked at the two people in surprise. They couldn't believe that the two people who were so fierce before actually bowed their heads at the same time in front of the national honor. When they thought of this, everyone was quite pleased. Next year, everyone may separate and go to other teams. Only this year, nothing can be lost. 0048. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 495. After the meeting, the Shang Wang hosted Ye Chen, Jian Wuhan, Yi Jiang Bioxiu, Lan Yan, Taishan, Gui Tu, Leng Tong, and Yan Guo. Including himself, a total of 9 people went to have a big meal. Boss, after so many years, you can finally return to the professional arena. At the table, Yi Jiang Bioxiu stood up and poured a glass for the Shang Wang, smiling. Among the people, the Shang Wang was the oldest, 30 years old. In the early years, before the appearance of Dream World, when the game industry was still on computers and keyboards, the Shang Wang was a professional esports player. But the profession of esports players is the most youthful, and it is much more terrifying than prostitutes. Taiwan novel network rightward arrow Yanji Shenyang. Generally, esports players will have a slight decrease in hand speed and brain speed after they are over 22 years old. And the competition is so cruel and fierce that a slight gap may constitute a factor of failure. At the age of 23 or 24, most esports players in this age group will choose to retire. Shang Wang loves this industry, but after the age of 26, he really felt powerless. Since then, he retired and started to invest. Unexpectedly, he is now 30 years old, but he has waited for Dream World, which immediately gave him a second spring. Well, you young people, don't lose to me, an old guy. Shang Wang took a sip of wine and laughed. Boss, the team that signs up for the international championship needs 9 people. We have 9 people here, so let's just form a team, Yukiang Pyoxiu said again. Hearing this, Ye Chen frowned immediately. The king of Shang even snorted directly, bullshit, don't even think about it. Although the team needs 9 people, only 5 people are needed for each of the 3 games, 5 main players and 4 substitutes. And these 9 of us are the main members of any team. Why should we be substitutes and sit on the bench? Besides, I spent a lot of money to sign you, how could I allow you to sit on the bench? With 9 people, plus some strong substitutes, the king of Shang can completely build 3 teams and then take up the 3 places in the Chinese war zone. You know, he spent a lot of money to sign these people, mainly for profit. He was born in a business family, and he was smart, and he would not make a loss-making investment. Of course, in order to win glory for the country, he will definitely build the strongest team in China, including 5 peak powerhouses including Ye Chen and Jian Wuhan. That's right, only 5 are needed, because the international championship is 5v5. It is enough for Ye Chen, Jian Wuhan and other 5 top players to play, and a few strong substitutes can be pulled. As for letting the king be a substitute, this is too extravagant. Hearing this, Yukiangboxu immediately laughed awkwardly. In fact, he also understood and it was just a joke. Next, everyone discussed while eating. Ye Chen and Jian Wuhan are stable, and there are still 3 people missing. Around this topic, everyone had a heated discussion. That night, the king of Shang found a hotel for everyone to stay and continued the discussion the next day. Until the next night. After dinner, Ye Chen should go back. And the result of the discussion has not yet come out. Today is March 12th, and there is still more than half a month before the qualifying match on April 1st. We just need to decide the quota before the start of the game, the king of Shang said. Tomorrow, the game maintenance will be over and the server will be reopened. Contact again. Ye Chen replied, nodded goodbye to everyone, and left in a taxi. After arriving home, I found that Shen Kimian had indeed moved in. Everyone got along very well, just like the original Seaview Villa, but the environment was slightly worse than that. After Yechen came back, he asked everyone about the key points of the game update. There are many small changes in this maintenance update, and the most important change is the merit system. Players from the light and dark camps will still gain merit when they fight each other. The neutral camp is still the same, and the position can be changed at any time. On these original foundations, players from the light, dark, and neutral camps will also gain merit when they fight foreign players, or even foreign NPCs. It is natural that the World War broke out. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Yechen went online. In less than 10 minutes, the King of Shang launched a mobilization and gathered all the elites of the three major guilds, the Merchant Alliance, the Throne, and the King. Now that the World War has broken out, everyone knows it well. At this moment, the three major guilds have gathered, and everyone can vaguely guess that they will form an alliance next. Yechen said, "Everyone, although the World War has broken out, only the most powerful forces in each country can play on the world map, that is, the world ocean. China Theater, Throne, Merchant Alliance, King, we are the best. This is our honor. I hope everyone can put aside their past grudges, unite, win glory for the country, and defeat the foreigners." Yechen's words inspired people, and everyone cheered. Next, King Shang, Jian Wuhan, Lan Yan and others also spoke. An hour later, the joint meeting ended. Yechen also showed his sincerity by separating Ji Haixia so that the Merchant Alliance and King could develop rapidly. As for the remaining islands that have not yet been opened up, Yechen also gave half to Jian Wuhan, so that he could also get a few skill points. The Japanese Jinggyuji has reached the level 80 Holy Land. She must have led people to open up the world ocean. The top masters of other countries are probably also on high alert. In our Chinese theater, Yechen has the highest level. He is only level 78. After reaching level 79, he can directly devour the Holy Grid to reach the Holy Land. The gap of this level is not big, but not small either. I hope everyone will be nervous, King Shang said seriously. He was right. Yechen is level 78. If he wants to reach level 79, even if he gets the first kill crazily, it will take at least 2 days. If it is a normal upgrade, it will take longer. Yechen is like this, Jian Wuhan is only level 73, the gap is even bigger, and he has to work hard. In the next 2 days, www.zhaoshan.com Yechen and Jian Wuhan acted alone, getting the first kill crazily to upgrade. Yechen finally reached level 79, and then took out the Holy Grid. Holy Grid, holy item / consumable players at level 79-99 can use it. Strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, agility add 1000 points, light, dark, fire, ice enhancement add 100 points, resistance add 500 points. After use, you have the ability to fly, and can place magic arrays and traps in the air. Note, after using it, players at level 79 will have a level add 1. Note, after use, the player has the Holy Grid, and will not lose level after death. Note, when the player dies 100 times, the Holy Grid is destroyed. NPC Holy Domain Strongmen have a terrifying HP advantage, and player Holy Domain Strongmen also have the privilege of not losing level after death. Of course, after dying 100 times, the Holy Grid is destroyed. 0048. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wangshi-san. Chapter 496. Yechen swallowed Shenga in one gulp, and suddenly felt a violent surge of energy in his body. At the same time, the system prompt came. System, you use the Holy Spirit, and your strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, and agility are at 1000 points. Light, dark, fire, and ice are strengthened by add 100 points, and resistance add 500 points. Gain the ability to fly and place skills in magic circles and traps in the air. System, congratulations on your upgrade. You are currently at level 80. Yakame, ID. Race, human. Occupation, assassin. Title, Great Good Man, Perceiver, Master of Hidden Weapons, Source of Evil, Master Thief, Discerner. Level, 80. HP, 60100 ///////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////// Strength, 5170. Agility, 1540. Asterisk physical attack, 58,26009. Asterisk fire attribute enhancement, 2540. Asterisk ice attribute enhancement, 360. Asterisk fire resistance, 5950. Asterisk ice attribute resistance, 1800. Recognition, 3098. Asterisk perception, 2. Attack speed add 240%. Movement speed add 256%. Skills, LV21 Sap, LV25 Stab, LV31 Thief, LV16 Lockpicking, Sneaking, Sprinting, LV21 Throat Wiping, LV25 Bleeding, LV21 Wind Step, LV19 Spin Stab, LV23 Trap Release. Rare Skills, LV23 Blood Flow, LV29 Hidden Weapon Proficiency, LV19 Shadow Attack, LV17 Stun Dart, Shadow Escape, LV21 Boomerang, Bloodlight Blade, Shadow Thorn, Flying Thunder God, Strong Invisibility, LV7 7-star Ultimate Kill, LV 11,000 Needle Slaughter. Equipment Additional Skills, Aura of Goodwill, Battle Cry, Flying, LV3 Fighting Spirit. Special Skills, LV21 Poison Quenching, LV45 Blacksmithing, Bloody Eyes, LV23 Breaking Martial Art, LV16 Advanced Dart Making Drawings, LV100 Strong Attack, Team Teleportation, Self-Recovery, Resurrection, Hand of Hell, LV18 Flame Chant, LV8 Flame Armor, LV9 Armed Hardening, Tyrannosaurus Pattern, Sand Clone. Assassin Skill Tree, Finishing Blow, LV15 Murderous Intent, LV12 Killing Mark. Talent, Firm Will, Passive. Very good. Glancing at the attribute panel, Yechen smiled confidently. Now in terms of damage alone, he is almost as good as the original Hellsuit Cheater. Together with Xiaohei, his normal skills are 300,000, his skills are over 1 million, and his finishing skills are over 10 million. Damage is damage, his current defense is many times more terrifying than before. Dream World is a game after all, and everything speaks for itself with data. Normally, there is double the attribute difference between players, and the result is crushing. If it's multiple times, that's even more incredible. But at this moment, the national radio sounded. National Radio, congratulations to the player Yeshen for arriving in the sanctuary. As the first player in the country to arrive at the sanctuary, he will receive additional rewards as follows: add 500 million experience points, add 100 gold coins, 1 saint, and the title National Leader *1. National Leader, Holy Artifact. Level 80. Strength add 500. Physical Strength add 500. Intelligence add 500. Spirit add 500. Agility add 500. Light, Dark, Fire, and Ice resistance add 300 points. The national broadcast blasted again, causing an uproar. The night god has finally arrived in the sanctuary. Come on Yagami, at least you can't lose to the Japanese bitches. Come on Yeshen, Come on Jian Wuhan, on behalf of us Chinese, defeat Little Japan, defeat all foreign theaters. Players across the country were excited and seemed to bet all their hopes on Ye Chen and Jian Wuhan. But Jian Wuhan was extremely jealous of the title Ye Chen received. It turned out to be the title of saint. Ye Chen, on the other hand, was a bit disapproving. The title of saint he received was only the national leader. The Japanese Jingu princess received the title of leader in the whole server. This level is different. Ye Chen really wants to see how terrifying the woman's title attributes are. After getting a new title, Ye Chen had no title slot, so he immediately went to Baiyun City to clear the Tower of Death. They were crushed to the 79th floor in one go, and from the 80th floor onwards, there were all the strong men from the Holy Realm. Ye Chen stepped up to the 80th floor and immediately plunged into a piece of ice. The frightening cold air floated in the air, forming a terrifying ice mist. However, Ye Chen penetrated the 60th floor, and after the 70th floor, 2 more grids were opened. And wearing the title of the Holy Weapon National Leader, the attributes immediately increased a lot again. The ice resistance alone has reached 2,340 points. You know, even a senior evangelist who believes in a higher god who controls the laws of ice elements only has 3,000 points of ice resistance. Ye Chen actually has more than 2,300 points of ice resistance, which is really terrifying. The feedback power of the blood tree is so powerful. Now the blood tree has also been upgraded to level 80, giving Ye Chen an 80% increase in all attributes. An 80% increase in all attributes. Ye Chen's attributes are incredible. On the 80th floor of the Tower of Death, this piece of ice was equivalent to a low-end ice barrier. Ye Chen stood calmly, unaffected. In the middle of the ice, there was an old man wearing a blue robe. Han Dongbo, Sacred Area. Level 85. HP, 750000//75000000000. Skills, Ice Array, Ice Spear, Condensation, Ice Explosion, Absolute 0. Han Dongbo is obviously a preacher of the Holy Domain, and most of his faith is an ice god, but he doesn't know whether it is a lower god, a middle god, or a higher god. He is confident that he is strong, his face is calm, and he is calm, but when he sees Ye Chen standing calmly on the ice, he is suddenly shocked. Young man, how much ice resistance do you have? Han Dongbo couldn't help asking. 2,340 points, Ye Chen said calmly. There was cold air all over his body, but he was not affected at all. His 2,340 points. It's true that heroes come from young people. Young man, I see that you have violent fire elements in your body. You should be a high-level preacher of the god of fire, not the god of ice, right? Han Dongbo was full of emotion. Not a preacher of the god of ice, but actually has such a terrifying ice resistance. How could he not be surprised by such a terrifying existence? The Light Camp is lucky to have a hero like you, Han Dongbo praised again. Senior, now that the world war has broken out, my strength is not worthy of praise in the whole world. Ye Chen smiled faintly. Tisk tisk, I can't believe that the world war has broken out again, Han Dongbo sighed, and then reminded Ye Chen to start killing. Ice Array. Han Dongbo raised his hand, directly added another ice array on the ice ground. This ice array has a height and directly covers an area of 100 yards. It is an ice barrier. Ye Chen was also trapped in it, but he was still unaffected. Dochi. Armed Hardening. Flame Armor. Tyrant Dragon Pattern. War Cry. Blood Blade. Ye Chen opened BFF in succession, like a whirlwind, quickly approached Han Dongbo, and then changed his clothes to end the warrior. Finishing moves were unleashed one after another, with horrific damage of up to 15 million, or even more than 20 million, appearing continuously. In less than 5 seconds, Han Dongbo's HP dropped by hundreds of millions. 0048. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 497. Young man, with your strength, you should be able to prosper even if you look at the world's oceans. Not only did Han Dongbo lose his HP like crazy, but he also fell into a state of cyclic stiffness, and his speech was intermittent. Yuchen's power was too high, over 5,000. Such a violent power would be impossible to withstand without thousands of points of stiffness, and he would be forced into a state of immobility. In addition, there is Xiao He to help. Yechen and Xiao He attack at the same time. The damage will definitely be superimposed, but when calculating the stiffness, it will definitely not be superimposed. Otherwise, if thousands of people attack at the same time, what's the point? Among them, there should be a progressive algorithm. However, this algorithm has not been officially announced, but there is no doubt that when two or more people attack at the same time, the calculation will definitely be more than one person. Han Dongbo is just an ice spell, and its strength is not high. Yuchen and Xia He attack at the same time, or Yuchen attacks alone, they can easily beat Han Dongbo to a point of stiffness. The latter's head tilted back slightly, and his body slowly retreated uncontrollably, showing no ability to resist at all. In less than 5 minutes, Han Dongbo died, and a system prompt rang in Yuchen's ears. System, you have cleared the 80th floor of Tower of Death, and the number of grids in the title column is add 1. Yuchen smiled slightly. When he reached this point in the Tower of Death, he had already added 8 title grids. Adding the one that comes with the character, there were 9 title grids. And his titles: Great Good Man, Perceiver, Master of Hidden Weapons, Source of Evil, Master Thief, Discriminator, and National Leader. These 7 types can all be worn. Of course, he personally has a hobby of collecting titles. In addition to these 7 high-end titles, he also has several garbage titles, such as Butcher, Pioneer, etc. Because it is a rubbish title, its attributes are very poor, but Yuchen still has 2 slots, which are both empty, so he just took 2 of them casually. As for the Tower of Death, he was too lazy to continue painting it. Behind them are the strong men of the Holy Realm. First of all, it is troublesome and time-consuming to farm. The most important thing is that the Tower of Death does not explode anything. It's hard to kill the strong man in the sanctuary, but in the end there's nothing, and it's inevitable that you'll be disappointed. When there are not enough title grids, come back and continue to grind, Yuchen thought to himself. By that time, Yuchen will definitely be stronger than now, and his skills will be faster. After exiting the Tower of Death, Yuchen suddenly felt confused. Now that he has reached the level 80 sanctuary, it stands to reason that he can open up the world ocean, but he still wants to wait for Jian Wuhan to reach the sanctuary as well. When the time comes, when the 2 swords are combined and we enter the world ocean, we will be more confident. In fact, more than just Jian Wuhan, he is actually more optimistic about the God of Thieves, but now the level of the God of Thieves is too low. Although he could easily bring it up, he didn't want to undermine it. With the potential of the God of Thieves, its rise is almost inevitable, so there is no need to rush it. When he rises, it won't be too late for Yuchen to recruit him. Jian Wuhan, let's join forces to fight against the Heian camp. I will be promoted to Major General soon. Yuchen sent a message to Jian Wuhan. In just 2 days, Yuchen and Jian Wuhan acted separately and pushed almost the entire Hyhaxia. There is only the last island left, island number 250, and this island is the last country copy. Horrible Goth. The so-called Gothic is Yun Kailan, a sacred beast. And it is not an ordinary holy beast, but a national holy beast, which far exceeds the existence of ordinary holy beasts. It is called super holy. The world's holy beast is also a super saint, and it is much more terrifying than the national super saint. It is the so-called peak of the Holy Realm, and it can even be said to be the limit. Horrifying Gothic, this copy must be cleared and the first kill must be obtained. Now that Yechen is a colonel, the maximum number of commanders can be 1000. If Yechen leads the team and kills them, the Merchant Alliance and even the King's main group will not be able to enjoy the first kill reward. And if Yechen is promoted to Major General, his command value will reach 3000. At that time, Yechen could bring in all the main forces of the three major guilds, Throne, Merchant Alliance, and King, to clear up Wasteland and get the first kill. Jian Wuhan is not an ordinary person. He understood it almost instantly and immediately replied, "Okay, which main city should we attack first? Do we need to disperse the players first?" "Well, we need to disperse the players. Now that a world war has broken out, we need to be united in fighting against the outside world, not civil war." Yechen said decisively, "At this time, if there is still a civil war, it will definitely be criticized and looked down upon by the majority of players. For the sake of popularity, for the convenience of recruiting believers when he becomes a god, or for the sake of national honor, one cannot be so short-sighted. Let's attack the LV4 main city first," Yechen said again. Yechen is a player of the light camp. He can reach the main city of the dark camp LV3, the dark city, as quickly as possible through the forest of death. But Jian Wuhan was in the neutral camp, so it would take a lot of time for him to rush to the death forest. The LV4 main cities of the three camps of light, dark, and neutral all lead to Zhihixia, so walking along Zhihixia to get to the enemy's LV4 main city is also very fast. "Okay," Jian Wuhan replied simply. Immediately, Yechen commanded Jian Wuhan. This commander is much more advanced than the team, and he directly brought in Jian Wuhan's team. In addition to himself, Jian Wuhan's team also includes 5 other strong men from the Holy Realm, almost all of whom are evangelists of the high-ranking dark gods. 2 are intermediate and 3 are junior. Besides himself, Yechen also had 6 Saint Domain Masters including Yuming and Chen Yang, all of whom were preachers of the upper-level god of fire, and all of whom were intermediate preachers. About half an hour later, Yechen, Jian Wuhan, and a total of 13 people, descended on the sky above the LV4 main city of the dark camp. Yechen directly made a broadcast. Broadcast of Pajun City, initiator Yechen / light camp, everyone, hush. We are going to capture this main city, please leave quickly. In less than 3 minutes, all the players in Pajun City dispersed, and then the city lord of Pajun City rushed over with 2 Saint Domain Masters. His Saint Domain Masters from the light camp and the neutral camp actually joined forces to attack my city. Looking at the lineup of Yechen and others, Jian Wuhan was only level 76, but the other 12 were all Saint Domain Masters. The city lord panicked and his face was covered with cold sweat. But even though he was panicking, he still had to guard the main city, and he immediately became furious and said, "What kind of joke are you, the light camp and the neutral camp, playing? Now that the world war has broken out, do you still want to play a civil war? Hey, we are enough for the world war, it doesn't matter whether you participate or not." Yechen smiled contemptuously. Jian Wuhan was even more direct, sweeping his long sword, creating a circle of withered yellow light waves, hitting the 3 opponents. Suddenly, the mysterious law of time seemed to bring the 3 people into the next reincarnation, and they became extremely old. 0048. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 498. Do it? Yechen shouted coldly, immediately changed into the ultimate warrior, swept over, and used the finishing moves one after another in a cycle. -1700432202. -2340242201. Horrible injuries appeared one after another, making everyone present stunned. What kind of harm is this? Jian Wuhan was shocked in his heart. His strongest attack now was only worth 1 million, and Yechen was now doing damage of 10 to 20 million at every turn, without any pause. It was really terrifying. While shocked, Jian Wuhan and a group of powerful men from the Holy Realm took action, concentrating fire to attack one person. 3 seconds later, the Saint Realm strongman's HP dropped by hundreds of millions, leaving only a trace of HP. You know, Jian Wuhan's decay of all things weakened the three city owners by 90%, and even their HP was only about 1 billion. Under such circumstances, Yechen and others focused their fire at the same time, and almost killed the sanctuary in just 3 seconds. Unfortunately, after 3 seconds, the city lord and others recovered, and the HP of the dying sanctuary also rose sharply. How scary! Contact the Alliance quickly and ask them to send reinforcements. The city lord suddenly panicked, and while yelling, he hurriedly sent a distress signal to the Alliance. This time, the reinforcements arrived in time. In just a few seconds, more than 20 streams of light came from the distant sky. Don't panic, we are all in the holy realm of evangelists of higher gods. I can destroy equipment, and Jian Wuhan can attack in groups. Yechen sneered and led his team to fight frantically with the enemy. A few minutes later, all the weapons of the enemy's powerful saints exploded, especially the warrior professions, which immediately lost their means of attack. The rest of the mage professions, without a staff, can still release magic skills, but their attack power is more than reduced. The sword has no trace, and it cuts in groups every 2 minutes, which makes the enemy complain even more. It's so scary. This coalition composed of light and neutral camps is terrifyingly powerful. There were a total of 28 strong men from the Holy Domain in the enemy army. They had an absolute advantage in numbers. They were frightened by the attack. After they reacted, they tried to focus on Yechen, but Yechen's defense was stronger than that of the Holy Domain. Even if he is attacked by the opponent, he can still withstand it. The enemy sighed and turned to attack Jian Wuhan. However, Jian Wuhan was not stupid either. He knew he couldn't hold it back, so he hid far behind. After more than 2 hours of fierce fighting, most of the saintly warriors from the dark camp died and were defeated. More than 10 holy cells fell out, and Yechen and Jian Wuhan separated. The remaining nearly 10 saints were stunned and couldn't wait for reinforcements, so they ran away in frustration. Haha, if they want to attack again, they must send out the marshal, Yuming said with a cheerful smile. His boss Yechen and Jian Wuhan's methods were too weird. The other 2 generals both died here. As for marshals, each camp generally has only 5 marshals. Just like the light camp, the king of the human race drunk in the West City, the queen of elves, the king of beasts, etc. They sit in the Light Alliance. The neutral camp and the dark camp are naturally the same. The marshal is naturally the most powerful person in the camp. Although they are not gods, they are still at the pinnacle of the holy realm. The gods they believe in are either gods who understand special laws, or gods who understand 2 or even 3 laws at the same time. But as marshals, they generally would not take action easily. The marshal will not take action easily. Even if the marshal does come, we can still escape if we can't fight him. Yechen smiled, waved his hand and said, "Let's attack the city first." After finishing speaking, everyone dispersed and started killing NPCs frantically. The 3 holy fire magicians on Yechen's side threw down the sky into a sea of fire, forcing countless NPCs out of their houses, and then were burned to death by the terrifying sea of fire. More than a dozen powerful men from the Holy Domain captured a main city. The scene was shocking. In less than 20 minutes, the main city was in dilapidated condition, and all NPCs died tragically. With a swipe sound, the huge crystal also emerged from the center of the main city. Yechen and others came from all directions, gathered here again, and then attacked the crystal crazily. After a few seconds, everyone paused because crystal's HP was less than half. Then Yuchen continued to attack and exploded the crystal after a few seconds. The broadcast rang, and Yechen received more than 400,000 merit points. In addition to the merit points obtained by killing the strongmen in the sanctuary and killing a large number of NPC guards, Yechen received a total of nearly 500,000 merit points. There is only the last 800,000 or so merits left before reaching the rank of Major General. If we attack other main cities, we still need to capture 2 main cities. However, we can attack Dark City in one step, Yechen murmured. As a fortress, Dark City is really at a critical moment, and the Dark Alliance will send at least one marshal to take action. Let's just fight the Dark City. I want to see what the so-called peak of the Holy Realm is like, Jian Wuhan said proudly. The strong men from the Saint Realm also nodded. Okay, then attack the Dark City. Yuchen nodded and led his team towards the Dark City. It takes at least 3 hours to travel from the LV4 main city to the LV3 main city. Yuchen and others were all strong men in the Holy Realm, and they successfully arrived at the Dark City in less than an hour. And this was because Yechen deliberately slowed down in order to take care of everyone, otherwise he would have gone faster. And Jian Wuhan is not a Saint Domain strongman. Although he is also very fast, his wings have a cooling effect when flying. When Yechen led the team to arrive, he was still on the road behind. Yechen and others arrived at the Dark City and fought in the air, but found that the jade-faced white tiger had already sent people to guard here. The pupils of the jade-faced white tiger were erected. He had already learned that Yechen and others had captured the LV4 main city. More than 20 Saint Domain strongmen, but they all failed. At this moment, he looked at Yechen and others with fear on his face. Captain, Jian Wuhan is still behind, should we wait? Yuming asked. Unconsciously, he respected Yechen more and more, at least he used the honorific of captain. Yechen glanced at the jade-faced white tiger and the more than 10 people behind him, sneered and said, no need to wait, the number of both sides is equal, just go straight. After speaking, Zayasin, Si Yechen and the other 11 Saint Domain strongmen rushed out at the same time and fought with the jade-faced white tiger and others. The battle scene was out of control for a time, and various high-attack, large-scale killing moves triggered shock waves, exploding wildly above the sky. However, after a few minutes, the weapons of Yumian Behu and others were destroyed, and they were beaten by Yechen and others so hard that they couldn't raise their heads. Jian Wuhan followed and swept out a wave of all things decayed, once again attacking Yumian Behu and others. Another half an hour passed, and Yumian Behu and 5 Saint Domain strongmen fell. The remaining Saint Domain strongmen were obviously defeated and tried to escape, but were interrupted by a loud shout. Asshole! At the critical moment of the fortress, you, as members of the Alliance, actually tried to escape. A roar came, and then a strong dwarf with 2 axes rushed over. 0048. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 499. Dwarves are usually short, but most of them are very strong. The dwarf flying in the air at this moment is the same, and his height is about 14 meters. But his body is extremely strong, especially his arms, which are muscular and thicker than ordinary people's thighs. He holds a heavy short axe in one hand, which makes him look extremely strong. On his breastplate, he wears a medal, which is the Marshal's medal. Crazy Axe Cayman, the dwarf king of the Dark Camp, one of the 5 marshals. Cayman's fighting spirit is the highest level LV7 fighting spirit. Rushing directly from the solace of his feet to the top of his head, the red fighting spirit, twisting the air and making a buzzing sound, is sharp and violent. The red of his fighting spirit is not pure red, as if 2 reds are mixed together to produce a new red. This makes it difficult to tell whether Cayman is a red of strength or a red of fire. In fact, Cayman's strength and fire are both extremely prominent, and they have reached a balance point. Because of this, he has this color of fighting spirit. Obviously, the gods that Cayman believes in are gifted and master the two laws of power and fire element at the same time. As a believer, or preacher, Cayman has obtained these two powers of faith. His existence is the peak of the holy domain, which makes all the strong people in the holy domain envious. Yechen is also envious. How terrifying is the power of Cayman's two powers of faith. Marshal Cayman. The strong people in the holy domain who fled in panic and were stopped by Cayman shouted respectfully. Their faces were full of ecstasy, because they knew Cayman's strength very well. Humph! Cayman snorted coldly, and ignored everyone, and threw a talisman directly into the air. This talisman exploded in the air, causing fluctuations in the entire space. Immediately, Yechen, Jianwuhen and others only felt that the scene changed and were forcibly pulled into a colorful space. Space talisman. Yechen's eyes condensed. He knew this talisman because he had used it himself. Very useful, directly open up a space, this is the power of the highest space law, pull yourself and the enemy over. This guy's speed should not be good, using the space symbol, in fact, to lock us in. Jianwuhen looked at the colorful space around him and judged coldly. Yechen nodded in agreement. The range of this colorful space is not large, and the strong with speed advantage cannot be effectively used. Since you are all here today, you will all die here. Cayman snorted coldly, and the intersection of the two axes caused an explosion, and then rushed over. It is common sense that dwarves have short legs and slow movement speed. But Cayman is a peak strongman in the holy domain, and his movement speed is not that slow. What's more, in this colorful space, Yechen, Yuming, and others have speed, but they can't use it. Heavy attack. -2800424000. I saw Cayman's heavy double axes chop at the same time on a strong man in the holy domain under Jianwuhen, and with a bang, a flame explosion occurred, and terrible damage emerged. 2.8 billion. Are you kidding? Yechen, Jianwuhen, Yuming, and others were stunned at the same time. The health bar of the attack Saint Domain warrior suddenly dropped a small grid, which really scared them. You know, any Saint Domain NPC has at least several billion health points, and the health bar does not move at all when attacked normally. Now it drops a small grid, which is extremely terrifying. The damage of the peak of the Saint Domain is so terrifying. Jianwuhen's face was covered with cold sweat, and he was a little confused by the fear. For him, the damage of 10 million or 20 million of Yechen's finishing move was already terrible. I really didn't expect that this Cayman only had a small skill like a heavy attack, which was 2.8 billion damage. Yechen's eyes condensed, and he could roughly estimate the source of Cayman's damage. The god that Cayman believed in was gifted, and mastered the laws of power and fire elements at the same time. Such a god is almost certainly a higher god. Then Cayman's basic attack power is probably over 30,000, and his fire power should be 2,000, and his normal attack power is about 600,000. This is nothing. Yechen's current normal attack power is also 160,000, and when he attacks with Xiaohei at the same time, it easily exceeds 300,000. The next is the skill percentage. In fact, in this regard, players are at a disadvantage. Because Dream World has been launched for about half a year, the players' skill levels have not been fully trained. Among the strong players, Yechen is a representative, and he has trained most of his skills to about LV20. According to the setting of Dream World, the strong in the holy domain have a lifespan of hundreds of years. It can be said that they are all old monsters, and most of their skills may be full level. The skills of LV20 can have several times the percentage, so Yechen can easily break 1 million damage with his skills. And the final move has dozens of times the percentage, so Yechen can easily break 10 million with his final move. This is Yechen after all, and the Holy Domain NPCs, especially the peak of the Holy Domain like Cayman, are probably mostly LV100 skills. Just like Yechen's power attack, which is also LV100, because the power attack special effect is too strong, the percentage damage is not high, but it is more than 10 times. Now Yechen uses power attack, the damage is close to 10 million. And Cayman's skills have a super high percentage, dozens of times the percentage damage. When he uses skills, the damage is at least more than 30 million. And because he has a full level fighting spirit, the damage is increased 7-fold. Increased 7-fold, in other words, the damage is doubled 8-fold, more than 200 million damage, from this. Full level fighting spirit is terrible. You must know that even with level 6 fighting spirit, the damage can only be increased by 3 times, that is, 4 times. This is where the gap comes from. The difference between a marshal and a general is only level 1 fighting spirit, but they have 4 times the damage and 4 times the defense. Now that Yechen's realm is so high, can see through the mystery of Cayman's harm at a glance. Everyone, be careful, Cayman's maximum damage may exceed 1 billion. One person cannot withstand it, so spread the damage and bear it, Yechen ordered. Heavy attack is just a small skill of the Berserker. When Cayman uses advanced skills, the damage will definitely be more terrifying. Continuous chop. As expected by Yechen, Cayman used a skill again and struck 3 blows with 2 axes, causing 6 damage. When the damage is added up, it reaches 9.6 billion. It's more than 1 billion. Cayman's ultimate damage is probably more than 2 billion, Yechen's eyes widened and he had to admit that he was mistaken. Hiss. When everyone heard this, they gasped. The strong man from the sanctuary, who was suppressed by Cayman and forced to freeze, was trembling with fear. Everyone else was also so frightened that they broke out in cold sweat. Cayman's damage is so terrifying that even if their HPs are as high as billions or even tens of billions, they still can't withstand it. XNT. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang-Shi-San. Chapter 500. The peak powerhouse in the Holy Realm is so terrifying. Yu Ming and the others were trembling in their hearts. After receiving Yechen's order, they did not dare to rush forward to share the damage. This Kamun is a berserker. In the blink of an eye, he has already released 2 skills, one of which is a continuous slash, and he has almost accumulated the fury points. When the time comes, the body will be even more powerful, the damage will be doubled, and it will definitely be even more terrifying. Yechen's eyes flashed and he shouted coldly, in the colorful space, "If we can't kill Cayman, we will all die." Hearing this, cold sweat flowed down the faces of Yu Ming and others, and they immediately rushed forward with a roar without caring about anything else. 11 versus 1, but they didn't have the slightest advantage at all, and they couldn't get much blood from attacking Carmen. And Cayman's casual axe caused hundreds of millions of damage. Of course, when he attacked Netherworld and others, he only did tens of millions of damage. Netherworld and others are Vulcan evangelists and possess a large amount of fire resistance, which reduces Cayman's damage several times. In the blink of an eye, Cayman accumulated enough rage points, and his whole body shone with gold and red light. This was the state of dominance. This time, everyone attacked Cayman, but couldn't do much damage, but Cayman's damage doubled again. Forced to hide. Yechen blended directly into the shadows. Strong invisibility was a high-end stealth technique. Blood-colored eyes, eagle eyes, detection glasses, detection instruments, etc., were all impenetrable. The only thing that can see through the hidden force is perception. The top experts in the Holy Realm are all old monsters who have lived for who knows how many years, and they more or less have some sense. However, in the battle between the strong men in the sanctuary, a few points of perception have little effect. Because the speed of the powerful saints is too fast. Yechen lurked over, got about 3 yards close to Cayman, and immediately took action. In fact, Cayman had already sensed Yuchen at this time, but Yuchen had already taken action, and his lightning speed made it impossible for him to dodge. But why does he need to dodge? After sensing Yuchen's move, he just smiled contemptuously. Powerful attack. Yuchen struck out with lightning speed and hit Cayman's tomahawk. However, the moment the dagger and the tomahawk connected, Cayman's tomahawk turned into a pair of flaming tomahawks. Immediately afterwards, the dagger swiped down like lightning, splitting one of the flaming battle axes in half. However, the flames reorganized, and the split flaming battle axe recovered again. Elementalization. Jian Wuhan was startled. Yin-yang. Yuchen was even more shocked and blurted out the name of the skill. That Yan-yang, obviously like Jian Wuhan's dark water, can make himself and the weapon elemental. Whether it's sun or dark water, they were all active skills before. Although they were instantaneous, there were times when it was too late. However, Dream World has also changed some small aspects in response to the revision of this world war. Among them, elemental skills such as Yin-yang and dark water have all become passive skills. It can only be released when it is attacked. But it's just right? Yuchen carefully analyzed this change at the time. It's nothing more than official restraint. A country may only have one such extremely rare skill as strong attack, but now that the world war has broken out, looking at the whole world, Yuchen is definitely not the only one who possesses strong attack. It is precisely because the strong attack is too unnatural that the official made such a reform and changed the elemental skills such as Scorching Sun and Dark Water into passive skills. As for the strong attack itself, there may be other foreign strongmen with strong attacks, but Yuchen doesn't care about this. Because it is also a strong attack, Yuchen's is a LV-100 strong attack, which can destroy a weapon or equipment 100%. Other foreign strongmen may not have a LV-100 attack. To take a step back, even those foreign strongmen like Yuchen, who dominate the sea of their own country, gain abundant skill points, and reach level 100 with strong attacks. Even so, Yuchen and Xiahe, you destroyed a piece of my equipment? Oh, I spoiled you too. Just like now. Haha, Yuchen, I've heard of your name a long time ago. Why do you think the Alliance sent me here? It's because I have the ability to elementalize. I can restrain your strong attacks, Cayman laughed wildly. Really? Yuchen sneered. Humph, death is imminent. Seeing Yuchen's contemptuous attitude, Cayman suddenly became furious, roared, and the flaming battle axe flashed a dazzling white light, and suddenly slashed down. Cut through the air. 950-3201. Huge damage appeared, and Yuchen was cut in half. Cayman's damage is too high, and he is still in a state of full fury, so the damage is even more extreme. Even though Yuchen's defense was astonishing, he still suffered over 9 million damage and was killed instantly. However, Yuchen, who was instantly killed, turned into yellow sand and exploded. This was obviously a clone of sand, and Yuchen himself had escaped more than 10 yards. The next second passed, and Carmen's flame battle axe returned to its original state. That's right, whether it's Yan-yang, dark water, or other elemental skills, they only have 1 second effect. And Xiaohe is already ready to go. Powerful attack. With a bang, Carmen's battle axe was smashed into pieces. Although he has 2 battle axes, they are actually just one weapon, double axes. At this moment, one handful was shattered, and the other one also turned into white light and disappeared. My battle axe. He couldn't kill Yuchen instantly. Now that his beloved battle axe was destroyed, Cayman was filled with grief and anger. Cayman usually only carries this double axe. Zaoshan.co He is also very confident in his Yan-yang. He did not prepare other weapons for this battle. Now that the battle axe is broken, he is stunned. Humph, now his weapon is broken and his skills cannot be used. Although the ordinary attack also has more than 8 million damage. But he is only one person, but we have so many people. Fight back. Ye Chen roared and led the team to attack wildly. However, Cayman is still not weak. Even without weapons, he has more than 500,000 attack power with just heavy punches. The full-level fighting spirit doubles the damage by 8 times, and the accumulated fury doubles it again. Because of this, Cayman can still deal more than 8 million damage without weapons. This terrifying existence directly refreshes Jian Wuhan and others' cognition of the peak powerhouses in the Holy Domain. The peak powerhouses in the Holy Domain are too terrifying. Facing ordinary Holy Domains, or ordinary Preacher Holy Domains, they are all crushed. In addition, Cayman is now even more domineering, and his defense is also extremely terrifying. This, the Peak Saint Domain Warrior is too terrifying. He has no weapons and cannot release skills. Even so, we still can't beat him. The colorful space has a time limit. If we can't kill him now, we will have no chance in the future, and there will be endless troubles. This space should be opened up by a low-level space symbol, and it lasts at most 10 minutes. Now there are only 9 minutes, so depressed, I'm afraid we really can't kill him. XNT.